So y'all, I failed boards. Like, I can't even talk about this without crying.
I touch that's fine for you. I do that 3, 4 times again. I testify for you. I told her like you, that bitch. I do it all, and I'm around. You scared to do. I'm not. As long as you joking now here for me, I ain't got it.
Hey guys, it is Nurse Queen. I'm back today with a new video. So I'm super excited to be here today because I'm on the other side of the fence. This video is about me taking my midwifery boards and what that felt like and what it looks like. And it was definitely a roller coaster of events, the ups, the downs, the failure, the pass. And from this video, you all can see that I did fail my midwifery boards, but I eventually passed, and here we are. And I want to get into detail of what that felt like and what it looks like. And if you're a midwife student or an NP student, how you should prepare and how you should move differently. So if you're new here, make sure you all subscribe. If you're old or new, make sure you all like, comment, and subscribe. We're gonna get right into this video, guys. As you all can see, I have my wine because I need something to curb the anxiety and the trauma that I experienced from failing boards. So as you can see from the first clip, definitely traumatized from failing midwifery boards. So we're just gonna get into some timeline of events and really talk about how that worked and what I did wrong, what I did right, why I think I failed boards, and exactly how I would have moved different. But after I completed clinicals, I was enrolled into something called COMPS. So COMPS is basically a course that is like a boot camp before you take your midwifery boards. The COMPS are supposed to prepare you for boards in a way that is very predictive on if you will pass or not. So basically different exams based on different topics that will be on your midwife boards. So the topics include and range from postpartum, antepartum, labor and delivery, newborn, all of the different things you need to know about boards. You're taking an exam every single week in COMPS to prepare you for boards. So COMPS, in my opinion, is pretty much like a boot camp. I had an amazing instructor named Dr. Fawcett. I'm sure I can drop her name. She was amazing, and she just taught us so much at a different pace. The videos she created for us were very informative, they were very realistic, and they helped me retain information, which is what you need. You need something that's gonna help you retain the information. So during COMPS, it was pretty much at this point from like May to July, I was in COMPS and I was taking my exams. I was passing my exams, some of them barely, but for the most part, I was passing, I was getting through, I was learning so much, new and old. And for me, I thought I was ready to take boards. At the end of taking those weekly exams, you then have to take a final exam. And that final exam is basically a mock board. So it's basically like 265 questions where you're basically sitting, taking this mock midwifery board, but you're taking it, you know, proctored at your home, whatever that may look like, to prepare you, to let you know, hey, this is a mock board. If you pass it, you are ready to take your state board. If you don't pass it, maybe you should do a little bit more studying. So y'all, like I said, I was passing my exams every week. I end up taking the mock board in COMPS, and I think I got like 3% the recommended percentage you needed to feel reassured 100% to take boards. So my instructor told me like, hey, like you didn't get what I recommended to have in order to sit for boards, so I think you should study a little bit more. But y'all know I be outside a little bit and I love living my best life. So I had a birthday trip to go to for my best friend. We were going to Turks July, I think the 8th or something, July 8th or 9th. And I was like, I need to take my boards before I go to Turks and Caicos. Like there's no way I can go to Turks and Caicos with the boards in the back of my head. So at this point, it's the end of June. I'm studying. I'm like, I'm gonna take my boards like July 6th or 5th or something like that. It was like right after Independence Day. And y'all, when I say I went into boards, very intentional. So I was studying every day from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, which I highly do not recommend, and I'll tell you why. But I was studying so much that I was like, there's no way possible I cannot be prepared. I was taking the practice exams. I was really focusing on the videos that my instructor put out there. I was doing all the work. And the day of, I woke up and my eyes were bloodshot red. I was pretty sure it was from like my lashes or something, but I truly felt like my vision was like weird, but my eyes were red, whatever. After that, I read a scripture. I have a book called Hey God, and every morning I will open it to a random page and read the scripture, and every time it aligned to exactly what I needed for that day. So the day I opened the book, Hey God, to basically a passage that stated that delayed but not denied. Sometimes you fail in order to get to the next level. And I'm like, why am I seeing the scripture the day of my exam? Like, what is happening right now? But lo and behold, me being the person that I am, who has never failed anything in their entire life, never failed a class, never failed a board exam, always been an A/B student, just like, okay, cool, there's no way possible. Me failing an exam, hot, like, be effing for real. So, after reading what God told me, saying delayed but not denied, I went to Starbucks, got my Starbucks for the morning. I then went to the exam center. You had to lock all your stuff up in the lockers, and then after that, you had to basically get like winded down to make sure you didn't have like anything on you. And then I entered my exam. When I tell you all, I was physically shaking. I have not taken a standardized board exam since NCLEX, and that was all the way back in 2015. It is now 2023. When I tell you all, I was physically shaking, like I could not breathe. I thought I was going to die. When you go in, you get this board that you can write on. Now, the testing site that I tested at had a board that if you pressed a button, it deleted everything. Didn't know that, they never gave me instructions, neither here nor there. So the board that you get when you enter your exam, you get to write everything down. You get to like dump everything on that if you needed information, whether that's lab values, gestational age, just information that you want to keep on your brain and in your thought process as you're taking your exam. So I dump all my information on there. I'm writing, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm reading these questions like, did I go to school for 3 years? Like, are you even a nurse? Are you even an L&D nurse? Like, this is what I want to ask myself. I'm like, oh, these questions are hard, y'all. Mid-test, start crying, y'all. I start crying because I'm like, this is not a vibe. This is not what I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be easy. The girlie said it was easy. It's not easy. At this point, I'm like, okay, this is not easy. It's like, I think it was like 265 questions. I don't even know. I think 175. I don't even know how many questions. Can't even remember. Can't worry about it. I think it was actually 265 questions. A lot of questions, y'all. It was a lot of questions. And what I can say is that as I'm like looking at the questions, I'm like, this is insane. What is happening right now? And mind you, I've studied. I've done the things. You can ask my friends. You can ask my preceptor. You can ask my classmates. I was studying from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So truly, I did not understand what was going on at this moment. So I'm taking the exam. At this point, I had my little dump page that I wrote all my information on. I made a mistake and pressed the button on the little board. It deleted everything. Deleted everything I wrote down. At this point, I'm devastated because I didn't know that that's what it did. And now I'm all over the place. So at this point, y'all, my dump page is gone. I don't have any information on my dump page. I'm like, what the F am I going to do? I basically try to remember things as much as I can. And then, like I said, 70% of the exam, I knew the topics. I knew what it was talking about, but about 30%, I had no clue what was going on. So at this point, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let me just get through the questions. I'm running out of time. I finished the exam, and y'all, at the end of the exam, I felt so defeated, literally defeated. But I still had the inkling in my head, like, there's no way you can fail this exam. You've never failed anything. You've been through this program for 2.5 years. There's no way. Y'all, so I walk out, and the woman looks my name up in the system. She looks at my exam, and she's like, okay, she prints a piece of paper. Now, disclaimer, anyone that's a midwife, an FNP, a nurse practitioner, whatever that may be, you know that when nurses pass their state board for a nurse practitioner or midwifery, they have a piece of paper. And the piece of paper normally looks like this. And they take their picture with the piece of paper, and they're like, they're doing all these things with the piece of paper because it's an indication that they passed. So for me, I'm like, I never knew that you still got a piece of paper if you failed. Y'all, this lady printed the paper out. I grabbed the paper. I grabbed the paper like, I seen the paper come out. I was like, I passed. So I grabbed the paper. As I grabbed the paper from her, y'all, I'm like, oh my God, I passed. And I'm just like close to tears. Y'all, I read this piece of paper. It said, you have failed this examination. And it broke down how you felt it. When I tell you all, my knees buckled to that elevator, I truly felt like I was gonna collapse. I got in the car and I had the worst panic attack of my life, to the point that I could not even drive. Y'all, I was so devastated. I cried, I screamed. I truly felt like, literally like I was in hell. It was insane. What I can say is that my friends were there at the time. My partner was there for me. I definitely had the virtual support that I needed, but nobody was there with me. And truly, I felt so defeated. It was the worst feeling ever. So y'all, after I failed the biggest exam of my life, literally the biggest exam, I then had to prepare to go to Turks and Caicos to celebrate my best friend's birthday. And for me, I was just like, OMG, I have to shift my entire energy. I have to celebrate my best friend. This is my girl. This is my sister. I would do anything for her. And one thing I'm not going to do is bring negative energy her way. So I went home. I definitely moped about it. I cried, but I was like, there's nothing I can do. All I can do is tap back in. So the way that state boards work is once you take your state boards, you can take it again in 30 days. So I made a whole plan as to how I was going to take it in 30 days, which was now at this point like August 5th. With that being said, I basically went to Turks and Caicos. I really utilized that vacation as a true vacation. I did not study. I did not look at a book. I truly immersed fully in relaxing and having a great time. And that's something I hadn't did in almost a year. So with that being said, I was able to fully disengage, and I left Turks and Caicos after having an amazing time, y'all. You ain't never been to Turks? Pull up to Turks, because I know why Drake loves Turks, because Turks is the place to be. But after we left Turks, I fully immersed back into being a student. I started to study. I started to literally take breaks in between studying and really figure out what happened, what went wrong. The good thing about the piece of paper, when you fail, it tells you what areas you did the worst in. So for me, I knew what areas I did the worst in, which were actually primary care, because like that's so broad. And then also newborn I did well, antepartum. So the areas that I did the worst in were primary care and postpartum. And y'all know I'm an L&D nurse. I have been an L&D nurse for a long time, since 2017. So basically those aren't my core areas I work in. So, I had to do a complete shift. Like, okay, those are not the areas that you worked in and that you know, but you need to know them. You are now about to be a provider. So after I left Turks, I came back to DC and I locked in. I said no to every event. I basically locked in and put myself into hibernation to fully immerse and study and figure out where I went wrong. I invested in more courses. So at this point, I'm studying. I'm using something called Kelsey, which is a pink book that a lot of women health nurse practitioners and midwifery students use. I also bought Pocket Prep, which is an online platform that has like practice tests that you can use for your midwife prep. Also, my instructor enrolled me into a boot camp where I had access to previous lectures and videos that were targeted to the topics that I needed to study from. And I also had meetings with my instructor, and she gave me so much motivation. She basically told me that I can do it, and she helped me figure out what did I do wrong. So during that time, I started to think about, what did I do wrong? What did I do different? And I think my main thing I did different was that I truly studied all day. I woke up at 8 a.m. every morning. I cleaned my house from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I was studying nonstop, no breaks, not engaging, not doing anything. I still would like go out at night, but when it comes to studying, I was using my entire day to study. So I don't fully think that I was retaining the information as much as I could have. But yeah, so with my new study style, after failing my exam, I then started to study in parts. So I would study for 2 hours here, maybe watching lectures. I would study 2 hours here, doing practice questions. I would study 2 hours here, reviewing my index cards and my notes. And it was very planned out, but it was strategic. And by doing so, I locked in for probably like 3.5 weeks. And when I tell you all, August the 5th of 2023, I passed my board exam. And at that point, I was officially a nurse midwife, y'all. When I tell you all, my family and friends, the very few that knew that I failed, I literally felt like they were going through it with me, y'all. So when I told them my past, they cried with me. They literally poured their heart out to me about how proud they were of me. And it was such a beautiful moment to see how much they wanted to see me win. When I passed, y'all, I truly cried. I felt like a weight in an elephant, the biggest elephant you've ever seen, was lifted off my shoulder, y'all. And it was the best feeling in the world because I worked so hard for that degree that honestly, I knew that this was the moment. I literally had to pass. I had no other choice. So I passed my exam August 5th, 2023. And as you all can see, this is me crying. These are my friends crying. These are my friends cheering me on. And they just love me so much, and I love them too. They have been my biggest support. And I'm so grateful to have been in a space to receive that love and also know that I had that support system. That's amazing. So here are my two papers, y'all. This is where I passed boards, pass. This is where I failed, y'all. So as you all can see, I have my failure and I have my pass, and I'm so grateful to be able to show you all this because a lot of people aren't as forthcoming. A lot of people aren't as transparent. I know people who have failed boards and they would never tell the world. And I'm telling y'all why, because like I said, I've never felt anything my entire life. I felt like I studied. I felt like I knew 70% of the exam and I still failed. And I think a part of that is that my testimony is a little bit different because I am transparent, I am forthcoming, and I will continue to be a vessel to the nursing community. So here I am now sharing my story, telling you all that failure is not a destination. Failure is not your stopping point. Failure is just a point in your life where you have to pick up the pieces and literally crawl out, run out, climb out, and get to the next level. So I'm very happy that I was able to utilize my experience to pour that into my YouTube, my nursing community, and let y'all know that at the end of the day, things are gonna get better. You may have to put in a little bit of extra work. You may have to say no to some things. You may have to literally remove people and things from your life in order to get to the next level, but do what you have to do in order to get there, no matter what it takes. So 3 takeaways from my experience. Number 1, you will run into obstacles. You will fail. You may get disappointment, but that's okay. You have to push through whatever that may look like, whether it's you climbing out by yourself, whether that's you running and sprinting through, whatever it looks like, you will excel. Don't take obstacles or failure as deterrent or saying that you shouldn't do a certain thing. It means that you need to push through and you need to go harder at whatever that may be. And of course, always pray about it. Number 2, trust the process. During the time of me actually going through midwifery clinical and also going through comps and then taking my boards, I truly was just holding on. I didn't think there was light at the end of the tunnel. And what I can say looking back is that I'm gonna be a better provider to my patients based on my experience. I learned more, I retained more. I now know things on a level that's so deeply ingrained in my head that I'm gonna be able to implement this when I start working and practicing as a midwife. So there's so much beauty in failure because once you have to go back in and lock in, once you're locking in, you're retaining information like no other. Number 3, invest in your knowledge. The second time around, I invested in more coursework to learn more, to take more practice exams. I reached out to my instructor to make sure that I was studying appropriately. And also, I talked to my classmates and we studied together. I utilized a study partner. Those are 3 takeaways from my experience, from failure to passing. And I'm super excited that I was able to share my journey with you all, to be transparent with y'all and really give y'all insight on what's been going on in my life and how I overcame every single obstacle, every single trial and tribulation. So I'm super excited that you all have chose to watch my video, hopefully from start to finish. If you are new or old here, make sure you all like, comment, and subscribe. I'm very excited to continue to put out these weekly vlogs. So let me know down in the comments how you feel about this video, what content you want to see, what is out there, and let me know how I can continue to help you all, how I can continue to be a vessel to the nursing community. So I love y'all. I will see you all next week, Thursday, same time. Have a great week, y'all. Bye.
I touch that fine for you. I do that 3 times again. I testify for you. I told I like you, that bitch. I do it all and I'm around. You scared to do it. I'm not. As long as you joking now in for me, I ain't got it. I've been scheming, looting. I ain't your body. As long as you dreaming about me.